Hello all, hope you're doing well today. This video is a bit more simple than the usual output. I'm actually on my travels at the moment, a bit of an anniversary trip with my wife, and we've taken our son along in and around the southwest. We're exploring Bath actually. I'm sure many of you know the city of Bath, very, very pretty city. Although actually very nice when you're coming into Bath, almost echoes of the Peak District in the countryside around there. Very, very nice, well, definitely worth a visit if you ever get a chance. But like all nice places that you visit in the country, there's always two thoughts I often get that hit me simultaneously. I get it when I go to London as well. You know, there's a lot of grandeur around, lovely buildings, you see the wonderful English history and all of that. And it feels like you're in England, which is an odd thing in this day and age. And I often think to myself at that point, am I right in all these things that I say? I mean, look at this. You can see the buildings are majestic and everything looks very convivial and clean. And then another thought hits me at the same time, which is, well, this is exactly what we're losing. And they sort of stay with me normally for the first few hours I'm in a new city in England or a new town. And then, as always, the sort of initial charm fades and you get used to your surroundings, and then you start to notice the same slow decay underneath everything that I think we're experiencing really across the country at the moment. I've said before, the thing about London is you have many of these incredible buildings, but they're really shells of a Britain that once was. Once you go in them, you see the sort of Blairite revolution in full swing, and again you see the decay as well. Now again, this is all a bit sad really, I get that, but that's not the purpose of this video, and it's certainly not the purpose of what I try and do. I must say there's been a real spiritual aliveness that has come to me recently, and that's very good for dealing with the situations of modern Britain, which feels like it's in decline, because while there may be few political solutions, there are certainly spiritual solutions at the moment. And personally speaking, I just can't live as a misery guts. It's bad for the soul. I'm not one of these people that gets black-pilled. I always do believe in the light of the spirit that overcomes all, and hopefully that reflects in the videos as well. And I was thinking this quite deeply about the future of the channel and of England and what I'm trying to do and what can really help and so on. And it's always good to get away from your surroundings, because travel has a way of clearing the head. And I was going through a few stories last night, thinking what something I could do for a video, and it just summed up to me how crazy the modern world is, how the modern news cycle is and so on. In that there's this story I saw in America, and you have three different versions of it on Twitter. You have this guy who's apparently a Christian banging a set of bacon on a copy of the Quran. Now, personally speaking, I'm for free speech and all that, but I wouldn't do anything like that. I think it's very unkind to disrespect people's holy books. I know it's not popular with many, but personally, I'm a big believer, have a big spiritual life. I wouldn't desecrate people's holy books. I don't think you should necessarily be arrested for it, but personally speaking, I just find it a bit ugly. But you can see that lots of people cheering this on. And then the story deepened in that riled up the Muslims. So then people were posting footage of the Muslims decontextualized from the bacon on the Quran, and then making story, the Muslims are going mad for no reason. And then it came out that the guy who was doing the slapping might even be Jewish anyway. And trying to rile people up. So I thought, God, this is so typical of the modern online world. You just don't know what's going on. There are so many narratives going on at once. And everyone's already, taken the story and flown with it. I'm sure I've been guilty of that in the past as well. It's very easy to do that in the modern era. But it just summed up to me, this is the problem with the online news cycle. It's all about drama. It's all about speed. It's all about the algorithm. And it's all about winding people up. And to be honest, that is how you get the views. And in many ways, if you do want to have any prominence in the news cycle, you kind of have to play to the algorithm and the drama to an extent. But I've started to realise, I'm not quite sure this is helpful. I think in some senses we're losing touch of what's true. It's very difficult to pass the lies from the truth in this day and age. You have to spend quite a lot of time doing it, and there are already so many different narratives going on as well. I think, as I've said in recent videos, it's making people schizophrenic, because there's just so much going on all the time. And this is why, again, I think probably maybe you've noticed in recent videos, I've tried to go back to this more rooted message of tradition and sort of meta truth, if you like, because you can really ground yourself in that while the chaos of the world spins around you. And the reason I'm saying all of this is, I think it's a bit of a realization I've come to in the terms of an evolution of this channel, and that it's time for deeper and richer work, probably fewer videos, but more quality, more substance, hopefully something that I like to say is life-giving rather than life-draining. Someone said to me, I watched one of your videos the other day and it really wound me up, this story, and I thought, yeah, I mean, it's good you're watching the videos, but I really hate the idea that I'm putting stuff out there that winds people up. And that really, led to some self-reflection about my role in all this. And, hopefully, like I say, I want what I'm doing to be life-giving. I don't want to be putting stuff out there that's just, another voice which is winding people up, making them feel worse and so on. Especially, like I always say, at times of challenge, there's great opportunity for growth and evolution. And that's really, what I'm trying to talk to here. And that does mean, on my part, fewer views. I mean, just the other day, I was a bit under the weather and I had one day off in probably, I don't know how long I've been uploading daily. And you just die in the algorithm. YouTube basically says F you. It's not the audience, it's YouTube. And then basically you just go low on views. That means you don't get subs. It means you don't get any income. It means you don't get anyone exploring your work and so on. But this is what, I thought it sounded completely stupid when you hear things about, YouTube. It's not that I'm a YouTube particularly or a big one. Obviously it's what I'm building on the side, I think, that matters. But I always thought it was stupid when you heard YouTubers say, I'm getting burnout. What do you mean burnout? I worked some super hard jobs in my life, that really challenge you, like, 14-hour days in offices and stuff. That's burnout. But no, I do kind of get what they mean. When you're constantly chasing the algorithm, you have to upload at a certain time, get it bang on, and if you don't get it right, you have to do all the, the changes to try and get those views. And if you don't, the algorithm forgets you. So I think, I'll always have to play to it a bit. Any person online does. Otherwise, like I say, you just get buried. And I will always, try and cover current events. But the aim is to try and do it in a richer fashion that's more life-giving, as I say. And, to actually try and do something about the things we're facing and we're going through. Obviously, in my context, that would be traditionalist spiritual action in different forms. Of course, this is why I'm focusing more on the sister channel. Do check that out down below. That's building nicely. It's more personal and spiritual transformation stuff. But this one will be for the more broad, meta-political, meta-traditionalist issues that we're facing really as a civilization at the moment in Britain and across the Western world. But it feels like it's very much time for an evolution for me, and that fits very well with my 2026 plans, where I feel like I want to try and build something of a spiritual order for men on the side. I know that sounds a bit grand, but I think men deeply need it. And again, I think that can fit in with people's own practices that they have, whatever they are, whether they're Christians or secular or whatever, but something which actually gives us a sense of being united in a day-to-day practice, which gives us those roots and a strong grounding to deal with the challenges of the day. Anyway, I'm going to be traveling for the rest of the weekend, so uploads might be a bit sporadic. Other than that, thank you as always for listening. Do subscribe if you're new, and as I say, do check out the sister channel and join the Substack for the big changes in the future. Take care, friends.